Okay, so let's just get right into it. If you've ever played around with AI and thought, is this it? Or felt like it's just completely overhyped, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to cut through all that noise and focus on one simple but really powerful skill that can completely transform AI from a frustrating toy into an incredible tool you'll actually use. So many of us have been there. You hear all this buzz about these amazing new AI tools, you finally decide to try one out, and the results are, well, they're just kind of meh. We're going to tackle that exact feeling of disappointment head on. And this right here is the heart of the problem. A lot of the time when we first use these tools, we just fire off a question like we're typing it into a search bar. We're basically just winging it and hoping for the best. And what does that lead to? Yeah, generic, totally unhelpful answers that make you think maybe this whole AI thing is just not that smart. And this gets to the absolute golden rule of AI. Quality in equals quality out. I mean, look at this. You ask a vague question like, give me 10 business ideas. It has zero context, no details. So what does the AI give you back? The 10 most generic business ideas on planet Earth. It's not the AI's fault. It did exactly what it was told with the very little information it had. So to really get why our instructions matter so much, let's take a super quick, non-technical peek at what's actually going on behind the curtain. And don't worry, I promise, there's no code involved. Right, AI isn't some magic black box. It's a huge field of study, kind of like biology or physics. And inside that big field, you've got smaller areas like machine learning and deep learning. But the part we care about today, the part that powers the tools we're actually using, is right there in the center. Large language models, or LLMs for short. That's the tech behind things like Gemini and ChatGPT. And that brings us to what I think is the single most important mental shift you can make when you use these tools. It's a really simple metaphor that's going to completely reframe how you think about all of this. This is it. This is the whole thing right here. The AI is an incredibly powerful, brilliant co-pilot. It can do amazing things. But it doesn't decide the destination. You do. You are the pilot and you are in control. Your success, what you get out of it, depends entirely on giving clear, direct instructions. And those instructions, that's what we call a prompt. Think of the prompt as the steering wheel for your flight. It's how you tell your co-pilot where to go. So it turns out that learning how to craft a good prompt is the single most important skill for getting what you actually want. So the big question is, how do we build a great prompt? Well, the good news is you don't need to write a giant essay. We're just going to use a simple, really memorable 4-part framework that you can apply to almost any task you can think of. And here it is. It's the RACE framework. It's just a simple acronym that stands for role, action, context, and example. First, you give the AI a role. You tell it who to be. Then you give it an action, what you want it to do. Next, you provide the context, all the crucial background info. And finally, you give it an example of the format you want it in. Let's see how this works in the real world. All right, enough theory. Let's make this totally concrete. Let's imagine we're working for a small, local bakery and we want to promote a brand new product on social media. Okay, first up, R is for role. We're not just talking to a generic chatbot anymore. No, we are telling it you are an expert social media manager for a high-end bakery. Instantly, this primes the AI to use the right kind of tone, the right vocabulary, and to draw on that specific expertise. Next, A is for action. Notice how clear and specific this is. It starts with a verb, write. And we don't just say make a post, we say write 3 different options. This tells the AI exactly what the task is and what the deliverable should be. Now for C, context. This is where you give the AI the why behind the task. What's the goal here? The goal is to promote the new apple pie and, this part is crucial, to drive foot traffic on the weekend. We're even giving it key details to include, like the cinnamon swirl topping. This is the information it needs to do a great job. And finally, E is for example, or as I like to think of it, format. This is how you control the structure of the final output. You're telling it exactly how you want the information delivered. So no more getting a giant, unusable block of text when what you really wanted was a nice, clean set of bullet points. And just like that, you have a formula for success. It's really that simple. Once you get the hang of this basic framework, a whole new universe of possibilities just opens up. Because this isn't just about writing social media posts. And what's cool is you can take this skill and apply it pretty much anywhere. Now, while the race technique works on all of them, different tools do have different strengths. Gemini is a fantastic all-arounder for day-to-day stuff. ChatGPT really shines with brainstorming and creative writing. And a tool like Claude is an absolute powerhouse for analyzing really long documents. You just pick the right copilot for the mission. And once you start thinking this way, the range of what's possible just explodes. You can go from the professional stuff, like summarizing your boring meeting notes into clear action items, to your personal life, like creating a weekly meal plan, to just fun, creative things, like inventing a cocktail recipe from random stuff you have in your kitchen.
This really is the key takeaway. The difference between the person who's disappointed by AI and says it's overrated and the person who is empowered by it and uses it to solve real problems every day, that gap doesn't come down to the AI. It comes down to the pilot. Learning to communicate your intent clearly is the skill that unlocks everything. And frankly, it's a skill that's becoming more valuable every single day.
So, the next time you open up one of these AI tools, don't just wing it. Remember, you're the pilot, you're in command, and now you have a powerful framework to get you exactly where you want to go. The only question left is, where are you going to tell it to fly first?